Hello and welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. It's episode 823, being recorded on May 21st, 2025. I'm Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
No further superlatives. I'm Brett Van Sproenberg.
And I'm Kent Burgess.
All this and Andy Rooney up next. How about a Patreon update, Brett? Let's just get right to it. Let's cut to the chase.
Oh, we need to, because we've got a couple of new Patreon folks to bring into the fold. And we need to be especially entertaining, I think, more so than usual. Just let's up that retention. Would like to thank, I believe it's Gray S128 or Grays 128. Maybe is it a color? Is it a value? I don't know, could be. Seems like a value, color value. Let's go with that. Gray 128. And Yoda 716. I didn't know there were that many Yodas, but apparently there are at least 716 Yodas. Not all of them are a patron.
Yeah.
But not all of them are patrons of us yet. That could still happen. And I want to throw a call back to an older, Patreon member, to T. Shockley 88. Everybody's got a number. So I just found somebody else who'd been with us for a while with a number and say thanks for sticking around. Appreciate it.
Thank you indeed for keeping the show going. For segments like Food with Josh.
Yes.
Food with me. It's better than food without Josh. Or sometimes Josh without food. I probably should go that direction looking at my potato head, but here we are. It's Wednesday. Sometimes people have burgers on Wednesday. I, however, did not know. While I kept it in the meat department, if you know what I mean, I had a cheesesteak. It was a pretty decent cheesesteak. So it's thinly sliced sirloin steak, fried up just for me, topped with bell peppers, onions, a couple of little other things, and then covered in a cheesy sauce. I'm not entirely sure what all is in the cheesy sauce, but it's all in a toasted hoagie. And you know what? Sometimes you just got to have hot tots. And today I had tots. It was a very filling meal. Probably more filling than I expected. Those tots weighed a metric ton. So, yeah, I'm happy so far. And I haven't passed out, and my stomach doesn't hurt yet. So, there you go. Cheese steak from the burger place.
Looks so good.
Mm-hmm. I don't know where the provolone is. I guess that, yeah. It didn't say it was a Philly cheesesteak. It was just a cheesesteak. Peppers, onions, more peppers.
This isn't provolone right here, melted?
That's cheesy
maybe.
sauce.
It's some kind of cheesy sauce. That's all I said. And it was a white sauce.
YouTube chat suggests naming this segment Meat Gazing with Josh.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, that's the name of Josh's OnlyFans segment as well.
Oh.
That's only for Patreons. You're not supposed to mention that.
No, it's a special tier of Patreon that's not even listed. You have to know a guy named Josh. Shall we move on to news?
Yes.
Last week, I have to say it. We reported misinformation. We had this screenshot from Amazon, and it seemed like the 9060 XT was going to be too expensive. $449 and $519.
Ouch.
No, AMD actually officially announced it. It starts at $299 United States dollars. That's for the 8 gig version. I believe it's $349 for the 16 gig. And they're saying it's 6% faster than a 5060 Ti at 1440p in 40 games. But no, you cannot buy this. This AMD render is just that. There will be no made by AMD cards again. There's some basic specs. I never go too heavy on the specs with these announcements.
Yeah, it's essentially half of a 9070 XT. And that's a good thing. It's about 195 millimeter square for the die, which is greater than half that of a 9070, but a lot of those things just don't shrink well. So you can't really cut your video encoder in half, like you can the number of shaders and CUs. So yeah, it makes sense that it's not. And also because it is a smaller die, they can apply a little bit more power to it. And so it performs better than 50% of the performance of the 9070, even though it's only half the chip. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, this looks like it should be a nice card. We have no idea what kind of numbers they're going to be out in. $349 is a really nice price point for a 16 gig card that runs faster in a 56 Ti, which means that it'll be faster in a 7700 XT from AMD, and in some games probably be faster than a 7800 XT. And those still go for about $500 a pop. The 7800 XT. So yeah, it's optimistic, and we'll talk about some other optimism later, but that it would be at $349. But then again, the 9070 XT was announced at $599. Not really sitting at that price point, but we'll see partner cards coming out here pretty soon. We should have some for the release, and yeah, it looks like a nice new mid-range card. It's kind of sad that the 60 series, which used to be for around $150 to $250 in price, is now going to $300 to $400 and above. But you know what? That's the world we live in, and it's all Sebastian's fault.
I like how we just accept that. It's like, well, that's just the world we live in now. It sucks, and everything's too expensive. But hey, NVIDIA's charging more, AMD's charging more, things cost more.
The dollar figure that we're bandying about here is, of course, for the 8 gigabyte variant, and we all know how we feel about 8 gigabyte cards nowadays.
It's unacceptable. It's unplayable.
Yeah.
Any amount of MSRP is too much.
Well, MSRP itself is too much, but then that's unobtainable. So the stuff comes out and it's $100 over MSRP at least.
Somebody did ask me about the price of a video card today, and I told them it was dollar available. It was whatever it costs because it actually exists. If you could buy one.
We'll talk about a product that exists a little bit later in this podcast.
Sorry, Josh, go ahead.
I don't know what I was going to say. Why is the why is the bandwidth less? Go back to that last screen for the memory versus the 9070, even though they supposedly usually they both use the same speed.
But it's a cut down bus. It's only 128.
No, it's 256 to 128, right?
Yeah,
it's half the size. Why is it 650 for the 9070 and it's 320 for the 9060? But I think that they're both rounding. 20 gigabit, right?
They're rounding.
Oh man!
Instead of saying it's probably like 640 something, and who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's slightly different clocks. I thought it was the same speed though. We'll know more details when we have cards in hand with working drivers. Speaking of AMD, Threadripper 9000. We talked about what we thought was the new Threadripper last time with Grado. So what's the difference? Oh wait, this is the EPYC package. Wait a minute. So they're doing EPYC on Ryzen silicon, and they're doing Threadripper on EPYC silicon.
Derived from EPYC.
Yeah. What's happening?
It's all
that Ryan Smith working for STH now. Nice.
Yeah. No, they're using these big EPYC chips for Threadripper, and they've got the 9000 series and the 9000 series Pro. Is it? But it's the 9000 WS or workstation, I think. I can't remember, but yeah, they're super meaty, and the top end one is 192 threads, which is kind of insane for a workstation. But you know what? People have actual usage for such things. Yeah, the Threadripper Pro, the TR Pro 9995 WX. That's their top end. And they boost up there. Turbo frequency up to 5.4 gigahertz. 384 megs of L3 cache. And 8-channel memory. Boy, that's nuts. That's workstation from hell. I'm not sure who needs it, but it ain't me.
It's epic. So of course it has a lot of cores and it has a lot of lanes. And then if you look at the difference between that and the corresponding EPYC part, also based on Zen 5 architecture, the difference is significantly lower overall DRAM capacity. So 2 terabytes is the max. With Threadripper Pro, you can go up to 6 terabytes with EPYC.
Yeah, but look at those PCIe lanes. 128 lanes of 5.0.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how much storage you can put on that?
Plus this one, Threadripper Pro, it's those 128 lanes of 5.0 plus 8 lanes of 4.0.
Oh, wow.
Sebastian, there's a graphic in this article that does allow them to claim the world record for Cinebench now. I think it's important to note.
Cinebench? Okay.
Cinebench. Yeah. Bottom left. Right there. Yep. World record.
I like the numbers. 2.2x.
Yeah.
Show me the score.
Yep.
I think it's just enough to say that it's the world record.
2.2x.
And that's all we need to know.
Of what?
Yeah,
2.2x of...
The
Did
W9.
AMD hire
3595?
NVIDIA's chart maker?
Yes.
Is Ryan Trout doing
It's only their
AMD
Cinebench score is only that good with multi-frame generation now.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
I mean, when you have that many threads, Cinebench likes threads. If it's multi, obviously. Doesn't really care about threads if you're running single core mode. Oddly enough. So yes, exciting stuff. AMD shaking things up. EPYC is Ryzen. Ryzen is EPYC. I don't know what's happening anymore. But one thing I do know is that begun the Gen 5 wars have. Because Crucial is not resting on their laurels. Obviously, Computex will have a lot of SSD products on display every year. This year is no exception. And there's new controllers out there. And that means new ultra-fast Gen 5 SSDs. Crucial has a new flagship, the T710. They also have a new portable SSD, but that's probably bus limited. The T710, it has some stiff competition out there. We talked about the new WD Black last time. Now this is out there with its 14.9 gigabyte per second sequential reads, 13.8 sequential writes. Random is ridiculous. They're claiming 2.2 million random read, 2.3 million random write. Not sure what queue depth that is.
Probably 32.
Yeah. You've got
9100 from Samsung.
Yep. WD Black, SN.
We've got the older Crucials and Corsair.
Yeah, Crucial has a T705, T700. And there's going to be more stuff, though. There's a lot of stuff out there in that.
Yeah, Physon's got their stuff coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the P41 Platinum is now out.
Is it P51
widely
or 41? Okay.
I think P51, right? From SK Hynix.
It's upstairs. I got to look at the box, but I haven't gotten to that yet.
Oh, you got one. Very nice.
I did. Well, I didn't have any power.
It is the P51. Yep, P51. Reminds me of a plane.
Yes. Let's move on to a story about Microsoft. And there's a picture of Steve Ballmer, very sweaty. He's completely sweated through his shirt here in this picture.
It's the famous developer's dance.
You know?
Yeah.
He got really excited during that conference. You got to admit.
It's legendary. An ankle injury while on stage.
He couldn't feel it because he was probably on a lot of Coke at the time.
Yeah.
Coke Classic from,
Yes.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, it was the 90s.
beverage.
Coke Classic was very big back then.
I mean, we really welcomed it back because New Coke was just inferior.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you cropped out the bottom of the famous Steve Ballmer moons the crowd photo.
That
would hit
some
too
of
close
our
to
audience
home
may not
for
be
Jeremy.
mature enough to handle that,
So,
and I'd feel jealous.
The hosts are not mature enough to handle that. Let's be honest.
what is the article about? Microsoft dumps developers and maybe injecting AI into File Explorer. Well, that's fine.
Look, this is This is a basket of good ideas.
If you
can just-
use Windows 11 at this point, you are just at the mercy of this company. They're just throwing stuff at the wall. You're testing it. And if your stuff stops working properly, then so be it. And you've already signed away your life and you're giving away all of your data to them anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, so now they're tossing out the developers and quite likely hoping that either you'll figure out what is wrong with Windows and send them a way to fix it so that you can be their developer for them, just like you're their beta tester now. Or, they'll just let AI fudge it as best it can. And, well, I mean, we can hope. So Microsoft is not very happy right now. They have lost a noticeable percentage of their employees, of which originally Amy Hood was saying, no, it's going to be middle management. There's just a lot of bloat that needs to be gone. And no, they're Axon developers. They've literally killed the entire Python initiative that they had going. There's just a huge amount of stuff that has been dumped. And let me tell you, Microsoft support people are usually not very cheerful, and they're significantly less right now. It's scary that you can notice that. So Microsoft is, jumping on this, and they're also thinking about, hey, who wouldn't want to be able to just right-click on a random file in File Explorer and, be offered paint features like blur in a background or erasing objects or search for similar objects or similar images on the web, which could be dangerous
Jeremy,
for some of your folders.
Sensible context, has never been an operational, kingpin feature for any Windows operations. It just never worked. It never really worked properly. It was never sensible. The context thing.
This sounds like
ridiculous.
Apple propaganda right now.
Well, no, it looks a little bit like what Apple offers you if you've got everything installed too. So they're hoping that, further on they can do even more tasks. You can just right click and find ways to upload it to SharePoint. Or one of the things they're testing, it hasn't gotten to it right, but yet they haven't got to it right yet. But if you right click on like a Word document or a PowerPoint, they're going to have it summarize it for you, as long as it's on SharePoint where they totally can't access the entire content and steal it from you. We've been promised this. And it will just summarize the summary that the PowerPoint was about, just with a simple right click, which I'm sure will have absolutely no hallucinations or misinterpretations in it whatsoever.
And
so
none of that AI-derived stuff ever leaves your desktop. It stays right there. Of course not.
And the fact that the AI can search it definitely doesn't mean that Microsoft is using it to train their next right-click AI. However, there is something a little bit close to ironic out of all of this. One of the layoffs was Gabriela de Quiroz, who is apparently the director of AI for Microsoft for Startups. So the AI has replaced the person trying to sell the AI.
At least for startups. Please, only established companies may apply now.
Yeah, there's too much money at play. We can't give it.
Well, no, they're the ones who are on the license that can actually opt out of all of this. There is no choice to do that when you're using a personal license, but if you're on an enterprise volume license, you can actually opt out of it. It costs you extra.
You did just remind me of something as you were talking about them firing all the developers and sort of making you the developer. Now, if you think about it for a second, when you work for a company, you're a software developer or an engineer, you're making things. The things that you do while in company time as you invent things are essentially the company's property.
They're the company's, apparently.
Exactly. So does this perhaps new agreement and the fact that the world at large is now inventing on the behalf of Microsoft using AI technologies and all those things are being uploaded and analyzed at Microsoft, have you essentially signed away your creative energies and your creative rights for the things that you're building, and all things go to benefit?
So what you're saying is that, in effect, you work for Microsoft. Not that you get paid for Microsoft, just that you've signed all the agreements that a Microsoft employee would have.
But your creative works are now,
they're
licensed by Microsoft.
They were never yours in the first place.
Just wondering.
You said anything you make while you're at work. I was just thinking, if I
No, don't.
Use the
No, you don't
restroom.
get paid for that. That's a nice rhyme, but
You know what?
No,
I knew
but
you were going to.
You
I knew
do
it.
get paid for it.
yes,
I
because
shouldn't have signed that EULA
your
down
boss
at the
makes $1, will you
crossroads.
make a dime?
Exactly. People click really fast through the EULAs. So, I mean,
Yeah,
just-
in the middle of
just a
that was
hypothesis.
actually, yeah. You
Actually
are
read
now-
the EULA the other day. I got sent this unsolicited thing for the Buffalo Bills. Sign up for a ticket. I was like, okay, where did this come from? Well, let me just read this. I was like, the first thing is like, this is only eligible for citizens of New York State. It's like, then why are you sending it to me? Oh, yeah, because you want all my marketing information. You sleazy sons of... Yeah. But their EULA is only 7 pages long as compared to...
Right. Now, that whole
Yeah.
thing was just conjecture and, merely kind of tongue in cheek. But
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Make sure you put that disclaimer here on the podcast.
Disclaimer.
Easy Perspective does not endorse or even listen to anything that Brett and Jeremy say.
Who?
So before you watch the video, you're going to have to, click the yes, I've read the terms and
Down below.
conditions of watching.
and
There's nothing down below. Oh, you mean in the description?
it will be. It will be.
Okay.
It will be down below.
Yeah, we'll have to add a disclaimer to our podcast. It's a podcast. People just say things on podcasts, okay?
That's true.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan has made a lot of money by just saying things on a podcast. We're going to do the same thing.
Yeah,
gonna
but we're
become
not that
wildly
bad.
successful.
You know what? Richard Nixon was not a bad guy.
Okay.
Oh,
That's not
now
going to
we
make
are.
us any money at all.
All right. No 1960s politics. Let's move on. Dual GPU parts. They used to be a thing. They were just amazing in their day. Remember the recent one, actually, GTX 690. That wasn't that long ago, was it? That was a long time ago. But
Yeah.
there is a new, in 2025, a dual GPU graphics card coming, 48 gigabytes of memory. It is going to compete with NVIDIA and AMD, and the GPU is made by Intel, and it's just some cobbled together thing for AI. So
I mean, it's not a real board. I mean, it really exists. They're both like,
Well, you know what's kind of cool
wired
about
in.
it?
Yeah.
They don't have to have a bridge chip between the two chips because
Really?
they're each PCIe
Yeah.
5.0 by 8. So each
Oh.
one has 8 lanes from... Now, this could be a problem. So say somebody gets this for their home use, but they've got a second SSD in their slot that already cuts down the first slot to a by 8, then they're only getting one GPU. So you got to be careful about that. But still, 24 gigs of memory and dual GPU, that's a reasonable little productivity card for stuff that we do.
I would like more memory bandwidth. It's kind of sad. This is stuck on GDDR6 192-bit.
It's a fairly
Well, it's getting
decent
close
amount
to
of
1
gigabits per
terabyte
second.
for
So
2.
456.
456 isn't bad.
Is
It's
that not
bad,
enough?
but it's not,
650.
no.
So the only bad thing about this that I know from my work, so we have people who run models, and we've been using before this the 3090 that had 22 gigs of, or 24, I can't remember, 20. How much did the 3090 have? 22 or 24?
24.
24. They were running models where they had to break up the models because it was inching past that 24 gigs of space. And so when you have two pools of 12, they're not shared because of the way that everything is configured. At least as far as I know. So yeah, each chip is going to have a massive latency penalty if it needs to go to the other memory pool through the PCI bus, DMA type structure, CPU and all of that. So it's not as good as a true, 24 gig card or a 48 gig card or whatever, because you are limited by essentially two separate pools that even though they may have flat address space, you're still going to incur a pretty significant penalty by addressing data in that other memory pool from the other GPU. So that's kind of a bummer.
I don't know
But
if this is clearly for AI workloads. I don't know if it's for like an inference workload Okay. And whether or not they're using a driver trickery to kind of like, or a special software stack to treat this as a single, a place to do work at, who's to say? But Josh, you're absolutely right. Whether or not it's two discrete cards and your typical, way to offload work to a card has to treat it as two discrete pools of 24 megabytes of RAM.
Or gigabyte.
24 megabytes?
Gigabytes, sorry.
As the
24
case may
megabytes?
be.
Did I say megabytes?
megabytes.
I meant gigabytes.
Well, 24 megabytes is a lot
cartoon
for the
character.
DOS era. So,
Yeah.
If
It's a cartoon character.
well, early.
it's a lot of
Windows
L2
98
cache.
gaming.
Still 24 megs.
That's
Yes.
not a lot of L3, but
Let's go with the
definitely
gigabytes. Let's go with the gigabytes on this.
We're gonna- gigabytes
But
final answer?
Intel's hope seems to be that people will buy stacks of these less expensive cards than a smaller stack of NVIDIA cards. And that's what we've got to see, is if they can come out at a price where the price to performance suddenly becomes attractive, that could make things interesting. Other than that, if it's even, within throwing distance of NVIDIA's prices, there's no reason anyone would go that way. So we'll see.
Hey, it could have been a great product, but
It could have, would have, should have.
All right, next. This is just Silverstone teasing.
It was Intel trying to rock him
And
in the
sock 'em.
sack.
That's Rock M.
But hey, speaking of rocking things, Silverstone has rocked Computex with another delightfully beige, retro-inspired case. This one of the vertical persuasion. We had the horizontal FLP01 last year.
Yeah, we went from a 386 to a 486.
Probably still can't buy. And yes, now a very 486 looking case. Even look at the 2-digit turbo display on the front panel. That's just amazing.
That turbo button works.
That's nice.
As a fan controller, be it, but it still works.
So there's
Do the
5
floppy
1/4 inch drives.
Head movers.
I love how they're just
do they
using
move?
old tooling. Like Silverstone actually still does make cases.
They've got those
that have-
old molds. There is
Yeah,
no
so it's
question
like,
they have
let's
those old
just-
molds.
Let's just throw that back up there. It's fine. Even if it's not perfect, that adds to the retro appeal.
Well, because they're fascias. You can pop them off and put in an optical drive or a Thermaltake X-ray, if you can find one. The old cup holder and cigarette lighter.
Did
Yeah,
you just call the case a fascist?
Fascia.
Isn't everything fascist now? No, it's fascia.
Oh,
A
fascia.
fake face.
Fascia.
That's where,
Fascia.
A Potemkin 5 1/4 inch.
Yes.
And inside, if you want, apparently it will fit an RTX 5090 and keep it cool. Retro.
All right,
cool.
And you
I'm
put a
Googling
486 board in it. Really is
for
more
an
important.
FLP01. Whoa, it's at Micro Center now? I may actually finally buy one this year. I could go to my local Micro
You
Center
could.
in Madison Heights. Not local.
And by the
2
time you
hours- 2
drive
hours
there-
away.
It'll be ready.
Aisle 34. I could actually buy it. That's amazing.
They have
I
four.
actually
They
to
have
buy one this
four.
year.
But
They will
here
probably
you bring
still
up,
have them
Shipping
when you
not
get there.
available. How can they make this unavailable for shipping? It's not a high demand
Because-
graphics card. Come on, guys.
if you build it, they will come.
It's a high demand case. Everybody wants
Yes.
one.
Oh, I'm telling when summer break starts, my son and I are going to take a road trip
There you go.
to.
Oh,
Buy
that
two.
sounds great. Like a
I'm sure he
bonding
won't.
moment. To
I'm sure he'll just
Microsoft-
love
Micro
every
Center.
moment of it. Like, hey, my basement? It's just like that, but with even more junk.
And people in it, and there'll be people.
But it only fit
Just
40
sit him down in
millimeter
the
fans.
racing simulator that they have there, full direct drive. He'll be entertained for hours.
It's
And there'll
right
be
next to
old
the
guys
UPSs.
sitting behind him, waiting their turn, talking about this damn kid.
with
Anyway,
reflexes.
Speaking of old guys, DOS. Who doesn't love DOS and DOS commands?
Some people.
Microsoft
Hey, they're
revives
bringing back the old edit command. We skipped that
the
one.
DOS era edit in a modern shell. Fast, compact, useful. Who are you and what did you do with Windows 11? This is from the register.
Well, it's a little rusty, but they had to pull it out.
So what you did there. Yeah, well, this is just a tool to sidestep all of the new quote-unquote air quotes. Can you see them? Advanced AI features from they're building into their other Notepad-y type editors and things that we just read about during dumping developers season. Anyway, yeah, Edit is coming back. And as Jeremy intoned, built-in Rust, shipping soon with Windows 11.
I like the permanence of Edit. You just open up your autoexec.bat, make changes, save it.
Yeah, and save it.
And your system might not boot, depending on what you typed
It probably won't. Unless you know exactly what you're doing, it probably will not.
Set your blaster variable correctly. Remember,
you could always bring in VI. You could always bring in some other visual CLI based terminal style editor. But this was built in. It was always there for you.
It's like that cache of icons we talked about last week.
It is.
There's so much
More
legacy
icons.
stuff in Windows to this day.
Yes.
That's why Apple just can't compete. I mean, Apple's all of
They just
they're
abandon
anti-legacy.
everything every 5 or 10 years.
Right. It's like, no, you
It's
don't
for
need
your own
USB
good.
anymore.
It's for your own good.
Everything's wireless. Wireless display. Why die?
Yep.
Why did
Be
that
quiet,
catch
peon.
on? Why did
Just
that
buy
catch on?
You know how we said Intel sucked? Guess what? We changed our mind. Oh, wait. No, we changed it again. Sorry.
Exactly. It was all PowerPC until it wasn't.
The future is coming, whether you like it or not, until it isn't. Because as of right now, Netflix is planning on showing generative AI advertising during your streams in 2026. I'm guessing that paying however much we pay a month is just no longer enough to avoid ads. I know Prime started showing ads a while back.
Yeah. These are they're going to be like intermediate ads. Maybe not everybody's aware, but Netflix has 2 or 3 different tiers that you can subscribe to. Some of them are lesser priced and supported by ads. They're going to do mid-show ad. I think they're already doing it, like ads during pause and ads during the midpoints and multiple midpoint, whatever you want to call it, multiple times during the whatever show you're watching, movie or show. And
like
they're going
cable
to start
TV?
Yeah, they're going to start to generate these ads using AI. I really
Based on what
feel
you've
like
been
this.
watching.
I think that's really nuts, and I think there's people out there who are going to be starting to freak out when some sort of character turns and addresses them by name. I think they're going to throw something through their television. I think this could get out of hand very quickly.
It could, but it also included one of the best self-owns I have read in quite a while.
Do tell.
This is from a direct quote from Amy Reinhart, who's the president of advertising at Netflix. Netflix members pay as much attention to mid-roll ads as they do to the shows and movies themselves.
I did read that.
Don't think that means what you think it means.
Sebastian, you're on mute.
I know. Does that mean they have zero engagement for the shows? Because nobody cares about interstitial ads.
Kind of.
By the way, we have one coming up next.
Remember, they're adding this to the pause as well. It's like, oh, you've paused the show? Time for an ad.
How do some people not only get such high-profile jobs, but actually just make it through daily life? I don't. Humanity is dying.
No, it's not. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
More of it needs to. The ones who haven't got the sense to crawl out of a snowbank somehow lived.
Kent is going to reboot his brain.
And tonight on Anti-Natalist Hardware.
Yeah. Well, that'd put us in the rogue area, wouldn't it?
Let's pause here for a word from this week's podcast sponsor.
The situation around network security keeps evolving, not only because the threat actors keep changing and adapting, but also due to how users expect services to function with low friction. If you're a business owner or IT admin or just have a heightened cybersecurity awareness, you know the risks and what's at stake. NordLayer is offering a business-oriented, toggle-ready solution with no additional hardware that can connect and protect users by combining VPN, access controls, and threat protection into one single, easy-to-use platform. Built on the standards of NordVPN and Zero Trust, NordLayer works across all platforms, Windows, macOS, iOS, Android, and Linux, to grant only the right people access to the right resources. It's deployable in minutes with no hardware or complex configurations. NordLayer easily scales with your team and infrastructure to secure your networking and spot threats before they escalate with dark web monitoring and data breach prevention. Secure your employee connections to the internet and, in turn, your company resources to prevent threats and IP leaks. Help prevent malware, ransomware, and phishing attacks from reaching your service endpoints with deep packet inspection, DNS filtering, and download protections. Try NordLayer now risk-free for 14 days with up to 22% off a yearly plan, plus an additional 10% off with our code PCPer-10 at nordlayer.com/PCPer. That's nordlayer.com/PCPer. Use code PCPer-10 for an additional 10% off your yearly plan.
We're back, and it is time for our acclaimed In Security Corner segment.
Welcome to Insecurity Corner, your weekly reason to drink.
Our first story: data stealing Chrome extensions impersonate Fortinet, YouTube, and VPNs.
And funky AI stuff, and a whole bunch of things.
DeepSeek AI, VPNs. I think the VPN one is especially delicious to me because, you know, it's a security product that they're masquerading as. I mean, who wouldn't trust a security product, right?
Yeah, who wouldn't trust a free VPN?
Anyone who's used one?
Possibly go wrong.
There's a bunch of crypto stuff in there as well. It's, you know, just the whole, oh, wow, I've found the free version of this thing that I usually have to pay for on the Chrome Web Store, which I totally and completely
smart.
trust 100% to only serve me proper apps.
Yeah.
And yet, wait a second.
Download,
Something's
install, grant
happening.
grant all.
Because, you know, Chrome cookies get all is definitely something that you don't mind running at all.
So Google has cleaned the store, or, I mean, there was a few left. Yeah. There was a few left that kind of got left behind, I guess.
It's sort of like my bathroom, in that you've got to clean it every single week, but there's still little bits that you might not have caught, and then you realize you did a couple of weeks later. But the Chrome store shouldn't operate that way.
For the mental imagery there.
No,
that was on purpose, because the Chrome store should be a nice, shiny place that you walked into, you know, steam clean, disinfected every day.
Stop. It's not Apple, and they never will be.
It's, well, neither is Apple. They're both kind of Mos Eisley.
Yeah, well, we'll agree to disagree. But anyway, things are, example, Fortinet VPN extension, stealing your session cookies and things like that, and threat actors pretending to be you, logging into your websites willy-nilly.
So is Tim
getting the free stuff?
He's basically Chancellor Palpatine right now. So he just hasn't gone full Emperor yet. But he
because he had
about him.
He can if he plays Fortnite, though, because he's allowed to again.
He's finally been forced to put it back on iOS. I know
he has.
Mm-hmm. Unlimited power back in the bottle. Mm-hmm. Oh no, I probably started something.
He definitely started something.
I did.
Was there more to that story, or?
No, that was about it.
Okay, next Security Corner story from Bleeping Computer. Hazy Hawk Gang exploits DNS misconfigs to hijack trusted domains. I don't know what I just read. Please explain. Look at this AI-generated image of an eagle with like cyberpunky.
I think it's supposed to be a hazy hawk.
I see. It's just AI.
I think. I'm not sure.
Still pretty cool looking.
The compromised domains are probably nothing, big deal, right? It's like berkeley.edu or cdc.gov or nyu.edu or even California state government, ca.gov. I mean, those aren't big deals, right? No one would fall victim to actually seeing that work. Whoops. So users have been... Go ahead, Jeremy. Go ahead.
The list you were looking at, which for our audio listeners includes Deloitte, the Australian Government of Health, New York University, Honeywell, Berkeley Edu, Michelin, Unilever, just not stuff you need to worry about at all. Because, you type it and you look in the address because you are checking to make sure that URL that you went to is the URL you went to. And, well, yeah, it is. Except
CNAME records are a way to abuse the DNS system to say, hey, this record that's being returned from DNS is equal to the domain name. So if you have, like, for instance, let's say cdc.gov, if you have like a.cdc.gov, which is a CNAME record, potentially if you're allowed to publish that record, you can actually take the user to someplace else. And in certain cases, due to the way the DNS was configured on the domains that Jeremy just went over, they were actually allowed to publish this CNAME record, and they could redirect users to different places using essentially CNAMEs or subdomains.
Yeah. And it's kind of a broken record here, but once again, they were absolutely valid DNS CNAMEs at one point, but stopped being used, but never got properly deprecated. And
so they just took them over.
Zombies sitting around, and you just keep playing and you find them. And you can absolutely redirect yourself to anywhere that you like. And as far as you're concerned, it's safe at home.
I don't know. There's really no good way to protect people from this, because you can't tell that a name that you've requested has come back as a CNAME record that's malicious. Especially
what you need to do is set up a host file which lists every single direct IP address of. So essentially, what I'm saying is you build your own DNS server from scratch and keep it completely maintained, and that's the only way you can trust it. Which is not a thing you can do.
Well, I mean, the pi hole is essentially that. You can do that. You can add DNS overrides to pi hole. So it's
but you got to know about it first.
It's a starting point for that.
Because if it's still a good CNAME, the pi hole is going to be that's probably okay.
Potentially, a serious thing that there's no easy way to fix until people clean up their DNS records. And when I say people, I mean corporate conglomerates that accidentally leave hanging CNAME records out there that they shouldn't.
Which is totally going to happen immediately and
it's
forever.
Not.
Yes.
We need to stop using the internet. Just go back to message boards.
If you just unplug everything and just turn it off, it's probably going to be fine.
Just do what I do.
You can't hack an abacus and a wax tablet. You can't.
Nope.
I mean,
play games on old PCs.
Give it enough time, Josh.
Cannot get
Give it enough time.
And heat. Maybe heat with the wax tablet.
Let's stick with Bleeping Computer. The next story is about a printer maker called ProColored, which has been offering, in addition to the ability to make your own UV prints and print on fabric and stuff like that, malware-laced drivers for months.
I want to point out this was the featured story in Security Corner this week, simply because ProColored, as a company, when confronted with the, hey, downloading your driver immediately lit up all the lights on my threat detection software, and they went, you're stupid. Of course, our driver software doesn't have any of that. When in fact it did, and they basically doled out this malware for 6 months. So everybody who downloaded a driver for these printers, which literally cost multi-$1,000.
Yes. Scroll back up to the look of the printer. It's got wood paneling on it. This is not a cheap printer. These are $7,000 to $10,000.
Yeah.
And
UV printing
the big selling point was, for some reason, their drivers kept getting updated almost daily. It was weird.
So for 6 months, they were giving a malware called XRedRat and SnipVex, and one of those, at least one of them, is a binary infiltrator. So it's extremely difficult to get out, down to the point of where if it was me and I knew someone who would potentially fallen victim to this, I would suggest that they re-image that entire system. And just not even bother trying to pull it apart and tease out what had happened to them. It's very significant, and it took some time to convince them that they had
And
a problem.
arguments. Yeah.
And arguments. The person who originally found this had to pull in a bunch of Redditors to say, hey, just double check me on this, because the company's saying that, I'm out to lunch and they said, yeah, that's
and
true.
His name might be Coward, but he certainly didn't back off.
Indeed. And eventually, mysteriously,
jokes.
the drivers disappeared for some period of time. The company has yet to admit any real fault, with
not.
this, no culpability.
Because then they would be liable in civil court.
Yeah.
We've been paying this
download a new
programmer
driver
that we hired, 2 years ago, who started to injecting malware into our drivers.
What?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Well, I wonder if they found out who that was. I'm guessing they probably did. Go look on
Back in the
LinkedIn.
day.
I was recently released from Pro Colored. Software developer with 10 years
Until last
experience.
week, the lead
Exactly.
software
You know what? I had a very fabulous career with the printer driver manufacturer for a company.
I made a lot of money. They didn't.
Bitcoin.
Yes. So next up, we may have alluded to this earlier. Ignoring Patch Tuesday, that might have been the pre-show, is good for your security. Just ignore it, and because nobody has ever outpatched threat actors at scale.
I think this is a note to industry that basically says your threat debt is one that you will never fully pay, right? You will never fully patch your environment to catch up to the threat actors who will always be ahead of you, and the patching will always be behind. Part of that is because as you begin to patch things, there may be some prerequisites for whatever entity you're truly patching, like a Java environment or maybe an operating system, Windows or Linux even, what have you.
So I thought you were going to say that you
environments.
trusted the person who provided the patch.
Oh, well, there's that too. But
As
the point
opposed
is
to,
that
Microsoft.
there's essentially, it's asymmetric. There's a lot more effort that has to go in on the business owners or the large fleet owners side to make sure that the patch they're applying actually continues to facilitate all of their business functions and nothing else breaks. But the threat malware vendors, essentially just need to get it right once. And it's very easy for them to just put out a version that takes advantage of today's 0 day. Basically, unfortunately, today's 0 day is a thing, and you will never catch up to them.
Well, no, because half the time you released that patch was because you found out about the 0 day. You didn't tell anyone about it, but you started working on the patch for the 0 day, which is now no longer a 0 day. By the time
Jeremy, it's okay. You're just a big bank, or an insurance vendor or some healthcare facility or whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Whatever. But anyway, the point here is they're never going to catch them. So there's a sort of tongue-in-cheek point to this article, and that's why try? Essentially, just put a perimeter around your devices that are potentially going to be infectable for this sort of thing, and just have defense in depth and try and mitigate the situation in a variety of ways. This isn't going to be 100% effective, but neither is trying to chase the malware actors. You'll never catch up.
No, I mean, it's the same as medieval people used to deal with, where, you'd build up huge, giant walls, and then some arsehole would come along and invent the trebuchet and start knocking them down. So you went for bigger ones, and then the cannon came along, and you had to do that completely into loose sand piles, but that also caused its own problems. Same with the mail. It's like weapon versus armor. Weapons are always going to advance faster. They always have, and they always will, because you're doing defense. So you've got to layer it. You can't count on Patch Tuesday, except to screw up at least 3 things. Other than that, you can't really count on Patch Tuesday.
All of our printers just stopped working. It's weird because they're all fabric printers. Maybe that's not such a bad thing.
Yes, true. But it depends in depth. Dealing with the SIMs and pattern matching and signatures, that sort of becomes the way. But it also, as more people adopt that sort of defensive stature, they can pool their knowledge and start to spot things very quickly. So maybe I can't patch for it, but I can block it. And that's sort of where we're going.
When I get infected.
Yeah, but maybe only 1 or 2 endpoints get infected before, you can finally find that pattern, and you upload it to VirusTotal or to whichever ones you do, and you're more blocking traffic. I don't know what this is. I know it's bad.
Yeah.
And that sort of is going to become the way it is. But the problem is the big ingrained antivirus companies don't want to make that shift because they're much happier with you paying them one license per device, plus network, plus this, plus that. It makes them a lot of money. And if you get infected, well, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, even the stance of deny everything isn't going to work because, the threat actors just ride out on traffic that looks legit. So it is extremely difficult to prevent this sort of thing.
It's a nightmare.
I just can't believe we've arrived at the place which is going to say you just have to deal with the fact that you're going to catch it.
We knew this at the point that, 90% of email traffic is spam, and somewhere around 60 to 70% of internet traffic is malware.
It was only like 55% a couple months ago, but
Oh no, not the email. Like the overall internet traffic, yes, but email is somewhere north of 90% is just
it probably is
sheer garbage.
The problem with that is for some reason it works, or people wouldn't do it. It's just really crazy.
You've only got to get 2 or 3 of them because it didn't cost you anything to put it out there, and you can make a lot of money back.
It's super cheap. That's why they do it. It's just
and
send
effective.
it to 10 billion people, and then if 2 people
less than 1%, but that's still a lot of people.
Finally,
but wait, there's more.
Yes, from Ars Technica, biotech company Regeneron to buy bankrupt 23andMe for $256 million. So don't worry, they're going to uphold all of the promises made to you about your DNA safety.
Exactly. We
just
ran with this.
Why would they want to experiment with your genetic information?
I mean, of course they're going to do that. It doesn't mean they're not going to experiment with quote unquote you in-house. But we did run with this a couple of weeks ago or so, where we talked about the basically opening up the Pandora's box of your genetic code being out there for, who knows what was going to happen to it. At least this company says they're going to continue to honor the previously existing privacy agreements and say they're not going to just dump all the data into something freely available. So that's the upshot of this.
They're going to make money off of it. They're not going to share it.
Yes, that's true. That's the whole point of them buying the company, is they're going to find out a way to make money. Sorry, Sebastian, you were muted there.
With your consent, they say. So the where is it here? They talk about their proven track record of safeguarding genetic data and people across the globe. Apparently, they're law enforcement, and with their consent, using this data to pursue discoveries that benefit science and society. For this for-profit company that's actually just selling their findings, and I'm sure it's opt-out, not opt-in.
But to be fair, I mean, it's not completely incorrect. Sorry for that. That they are actually doing research off of this. I mean, yeah, it is a little bit creepy, especially if you fell for 23andMe, like a lot of us didn't. But yes, there is a lot of research that can be done off of it. Some of it creepy, some of it not. Let's just hope that these are the guys that are like, yeah, we could make a huge amount of money in the short term doing this, but if we actually started to look at it and went with CRISPR and the new one and trying to figure out some interesting sequences and make a little bit of money for a very long time, this might not be horrific. But I got very little sympathy for the people who signed up for 23andMe, knowing damn well they were sending their genetic material off to a company that wanted to make a profit.
They insist there's going to be ethical oversight. It will advance their full potential to improve human health for a greater galactic good.
What?
Nothing.
Was that supposed to be Emperor or Chancellor Palpatine?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Greater. A little bit.
Can we move on to
We can try. Yes,
all right.
please.
I just real quick, I don't know why I was thinking about this. Let me just search for Fortnite on my phone and look at that. Look at, it's actually found. Oh, is this just the website? Epic Games? It's actually loading Fortnite on a
Guess
phone
who's
for the
back?
first time in almost 5 years. Now
Is that
you
news,
too.
though? We knew it was going to happen.
Now you too can play Fortnite.
Does
on
that mean you
your
have a
mom's iPad.
5-year-old copy of Fortnite installed on your phone?
Here I am in the lobby. That's me. I'm the brat. I played a game with my son earlier today on this phone just because of like, hey, I can download Fortnite.
Okay.
And we got 6th place out of 50 teams.
6.
So, in your game, does your avatar ever run down a hallway?
Yes, he does. As a matter of fact. And I don't have any back bling on him. All the kids have back bling. I take it off because I want to see those toasty buns as I'm running around on the map. It's a thing to be old.
Did your wife play with you?
Not today.
Isn't she a
Did it play
Fortnite
with
queen?
you as a hot dog?
She is a Fortnite player, yes.
It's a game the whole family can play, just like pederasty.
Look, you can look at my brat from all angles. I can rotate him. Look at that toasted bun.
You do
I'd
have a
rather
toasted
not.
bun. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
You look more like a sausage roll than a hot dog.
This is what makes me drink.
I thought it was insecurity that made you drink.
No, that
Wait.
makes other people drink.
That drinks
Security
that makes
stuff.
us drink in the corner.
Security stuff
Security
is just like,
stuff makes
oh,
Brett rich.
this is just it's another day in the office. The security stuff is like, oh, look at
Right.
this.
It's like, oh,
What a
yeah,
surprise.
I was briefed on this before the public knew. Yeah.
Yep.
I always sound so
look at that.
knowledgeable. My inside information. Stalker Legends of the Zone Trilogy Enhanced Edition. Free for anyone who owns the original trilogy. Now, I see this little flex here.
Well, here's
Because
the problem.
there's a PCPer article, and that must be Jeremy's copy right there.
I don't think it's going to be compatible with this copy. I'm a little worried.
Why?
I mean, can I just install this and add it to Steam?
How?
Because I
Oh, you
tried
just need to
adding
do an
code.
external. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
I don't know. I can try.
Have GOG Galaxy grab it and...
Well, that's the thing. They don't do that anymore.
Oh.
They did for a while, but now they are literally down to they signed something with CD Projekt Red. So The Witcher 3, if you bought it on any platform, you can enable it on good old Galaxy. But the old reclaim your old games, well, they ran into some legal issues and it wasn't worth it. Which was stupid because why in the hell was any of the companies threatening to sue them? Because that was it. All it took was, well, maybe we'll think about it. And like good old games, like, well, that's not worth the money.
Goodbye.
Like,
That's because
even just
attorneys
serving
cost
us,
money.
it's not worth it. Yeah.
Even if you're not getting fully sued, you still have to bring on a legal team that's going to cost you millions of dollars. And
Millions.
Yeah, so it's sad, but then again, it is on sale right now for super cheap. But yeah, so they've redone like the skyboxes, the lighting, up the various textures. Maybe so much that a 5060 couldn't handle it. We don't know yet, and probably played with the UI a bit because in 2007, 4K was not even a dream. So I have a feeling that the menus at 4K are a little hard to read. So, redoing that UI might have been a good idea. So yeah, if you got them, they're free. And I probably also work on the Lost Alpha that you can get a director's cut of now. And is freaking amazing.
That was another one of those games where I just use it as a benchmark. I played like 15 minutes of it. I got my ass kicked multiple times by radioactive hogs and then some smugglers and other people. And and not only that, but the when you're walking,
yes, there was a head sway.
That was really
there was a head sway.
bad. Yeah. Otherwise, it looked great.
That was how they dealt with running and shooting.
Mm-hmm.
You had the head sway that wasn't entirely predictable. Now, who said we were allowed to do reviews this week?
Hey, every once in a while, we feel really productive. Kent sent me a review. Actually, sent me two. I forgot about the other one. I don't know if you reminded me or didn't, but I saw it this morning when I was getting the other one out of my drive share. But anyway,
Sorry, let's
remind
measure
you.
those out. Let's measure those out.
We are moving on smoothly into the reviews segment of this week's podcast. Kent is going to talk to us about a new, exciting development in the world of micro ATX enclosures. Yes, mATX specific enclosures. They don't get a lot of attention.
Yes.
But it is the perfect form factor. 9.6 inches square of PC heaven.
And this is the NZXT H3 Flow. These cases were released yesterday. There's another one announced as well, which is the H9. I also have a sample of that that I'll be getting to as soon as I can. But the H3 Flow is a very compact. It's only 35 liters. So it's about twice the size of most of the ITX cases I've reviewed recently. It's very lightweight, but there is so much mesh on this case. You can see it in the photos. You can basically see through the case in a lot of places.
Including the glass side panel, which I also find
yes, but
transparent as well.
It's like 1970s Cheryl Teague.
Oh.
Yeah. So it breathes incredibly well. It's got a reasonable price on it. It's $79.99. I really like the size of it because it's just about as small as you can get, but still have, full support for, 4 DIMMs of RAM, of an ATX power supply, and again, an ATX motherboard, even though it is micro ATX. It was a very easy case to build in. That is one of the most beautiful things in the history of the world, by the way.
I was confused by what you were talking about at first. It looks like a USB connector, but it's not.
No, that is a front panel unified, and it is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Oh my God. That was a long time ago.
You're really missing out on something without trying to get those tiny little, single pin ones.
Always with the split connectors for the power LED.
Yeah.
No, it's enough.
Yes. Yeah, it's an experience.
That is like it's one of the most pain-free builds I've had to do. And a lot of it is to do with that connector, but also even with just the back panel, the front, and the tempered glass coming off, it's still at its size reasonably well open, so you can access the inside quite well. Plenty of cable management. It is back to front compatible. On a personal note, I'm hoping that does continue forward. I would like to build something in that in back to front in the future, but nothing has. Yeah, I think it's disappearing. Unfortunately, It's a good idea, but if you can't buy hardware.
I see from this photo that it has a pass-through for the power supply cables at the ITX size and mATX size. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They thought of everything. Yeah. No grommets on the cable.
No grommets.
But you wouldn't expect that for $79. That's the concessions you make.
Yep.
So, as I mentioned in the article, due to rearranging our place after Helene for the repairs that are still ongoing, I've lost some of my test system that I had been using for ATX and micro ATX systems. So I've just decided to use the test system I use for the ITX form factor cases. And just put everything on the same chart. I know Sebastian loves that. But this case only comes with a single exhaust fan. And even with just the single fan, its temperatures were better than everything else on the chart by a substantial amount in some cases.
It's right up there second to only the open test bed. So, that's the power of mesh.
Yes, it breathes so well. And really, if you put 240 millimeter fans in the front of this case, um, as long as you've got a system that fits in there, you're going to be golden temperature wise. It breathes so well. I really only had 2 complaints with the system at all. One of them is the rear exhaust fans quality is it's probably a little below average for included fans with cases. Above about 975 RPMs, it's makes quite an annoying sound. Below that, it's just a more tolerable annoying sound. But it didn't sound like a bad bearing. It just sounded like the motor. Makes some. It's not a PWM fan either, so there's some little trickery you had to do with fan speed there. But the other issue is that the bottom of this, despite the fact there's so much mesh everywhere else, the bottom of the case is solid. So you can't mount the power supply fan down. Yeah.
Interesting choice.
That seems like an oversight.
And especially considering that, one of the things that they show in the manual and they show, they sort of highlight is the fact that you can put, your big 4-slot, very large graphics cards in this case. But if you put a 4-slot card in there, it's going to come right down above the power supply. And I feel like the fans
those fans are going to be fighting.
They're going to be fighting each other. But the card I had is a 2.5 slot, 3080, 12 gig. I had no issues. That card, the temperatures on it were very well managed, even under a gaming load, under a graphics benchmark load of 30 minutes. Temperatures were fine. I do have some
construction like that.
Card in. Go ahead.
Sorry. I'm sorry. With a mesh construction like that, you got to think your power supply is evacuating already some of the hot air right around the video card, and it's pulling more air in from the sides. It's cool. You should get some of those smoke things and see where the flow is going, because that you kind of said you've only got one exhaust fan. Well, actually, no, you've got 2.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
that is
one's
true.
exhausting in the case.
Yeah, I just worry. Like I said, in the situation that system is in, I didn't see a problem with it. My concern would be is if you're putting that
massive card,
4-slot thick card, and then you're going to have basically a 1/2 inch between 2 fans that are blowing opposite directions, and I have some concern about that. But they sent a lot of documentation.
It might be a direct feed, though.
Yeah, possible.
Or else you're going to have to invent the NZXT H3 Flow Dremel version.
But yeah, I like this case. Those were my 2 big issues with it. Unfortunately, I feel like I would have given this an editor's choice if it had included 2 front fans for that price. As it is, if you're going to get 240 millimeter fans for the front, if you're going to get something that's decent quality, you're going to be spending another $20. And if you replace that back fan, that's going to be another $10. Mm-hmm. At that point, you're looking at $110. But I still think this case is probably worth it at that. And so I gave it our silver award. It was a really nice little case. I was very impressed with it.
Nice.
I'm kind of torn. Go, Josh.
With summer coming along, this whole mesh concept sounds really good. So I'm going to get a mesh tank top and I'll wear it for the podcast because it gets really hot in my office.
No. No.
Oh, I haven't
This
seen
will be
those
Josh's
in a
feed
dog's
next
age.
week, just to warn you.
Oh no, get a fake mesh put over it.
I'm gonna get some piercings too. You'll like it.
Josh, just to let you know, to honor this mesh case, I'm actually wearing mesh boxers right now, but I'm not going to stand
Well, this
up.
is in the 70s where you're at, so you know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably wise for everyone.
All right. Thank you for that, Kent. You can read more and see more of the photos and read his conclusion in its entirety at PCPer.com. Look for a featured review up there in the carousel. The next review, it concerns a graphics product manufactured by NVIDIA. You see, they make this GPU called the RTX 5070, and they make it available. TSMC makes it. It is then made available to what are called add-in board partners who can then integrate that chip into a graphics product, often called a video card or a graphics card. And this is one such product which exists that you can buy. And that
Very
concludes my
verbose.
review
Very
of the
verbose.
MSI RTX 5070 12G Gaming Trio OC. For
I have a
more,
question. Is it suitable for purpose?
it is suitable. It produced a display on my monitor. It produced images. I was able to test games. And so in that way, it does work as advertised. There it is on the open test bed. On my dining room table, and everything.
Is that a guitar pick stuck to the end?
I bet that was
it looks like a
popular.
guitar pick. That is it's not LED lit. The perimeter around the MSI logo is lit. And then this sort of opaque plastic shroud has some RGB stripes across it. It's not, there's not a lot of RGB on this card. It's rather understated. If you're curious, the card is about 2.5 slots. It protrudes beyond the 2-slot bracket on the back. It's quite tall as well. Big cooler. And of course they make one cooler and then, various GPUs from the 60 Ti all the way up through like the 5080 probably uses the same shroud design. So the temperatures are ridiculously cool in this. But just here's a look. I did some color coding here. So you can look at the excitement of benchmarking a stock card against a stock card. So initially, this was not very interesting because it's almost exactly the same performance level between this MSI Gaming Trio and the Founders Edition card that I already reviewed back in March. We're talking, after 3 runs, a variance of 0.01 FPS in Cyberpunk 2077.
That's huge.
Yeah, really big.
It's huge.
It got bigger in some other games, but it was within a fraction. But so I did some overclocking. I just decided, hey, I'm going to pump up the power limit to the full 112% available.
Pump up the power.
Yeah. And I also increased the clocks. I just arbitrarily ended up choosing 250 megahertz for the OC. It doesn't actually do that. And I could have had better results by undervolting. I did not. I just did the old-fashioned brute force approach. Yep, Afterburner, latest version. Okay. So with 112% power limit, it was giving me, here we are in Metro Enhanced Edition, 1440 Extreme. I was getting almost 4 frames per second more.
Yeah.
With a hefty manual OC. And in Talos Principle, I was getting 2. And in Cyberpunk, I was getting almost 7 FPS more.
Dude, that's transformative.
It is.
Look at your improvements on 1% lows. Even better.
They were good. So here was the power draw comparison. The orange squiggly line is stock, and the red squiggly line is with the 112% power limit. It's not that much higher. We're talking maybe up to 10 watts more power draw. So this card, not the biggest overclocker in the world. Remember when you used to be able to get like a 70 and overclock it almost to an 80?
Yeah.
And this one doesn't even come close.
It's been a while.
It is so far from a 5070 Ti even overclocked that much that it's just... So yeah, it is a product that exists, but it has very good thermals and noise levels. After the long, I think it's the 20 run 3D Mark stress test on Steel Nomad, I think, that I ran this time. It never went above 33% on the fans. That's 1226 RPM. It never went above 59.2 C in a rather cool room. It was 17 degrees down here. C. Max memory temp was 62. It's just, and it was 33.7 dBA. I unplugged the fans on the CPU cooler, put the SPL meter 12 inches away from the card on the open test bed, and it was still only 33.7 dBA, plus or minus 1.4 dBA accuracy with my SPL meter. So the price is $715 for this card, but you can actually buy it. So say you were excited when NVIDIA announced the 5070 at $549 with its breathtaking multi-frame generation performance capabilities. And then you went to buy one and you realized that they don't start at $549.99 after all.
No, dollar available.
Yeah.
Sadly, I mean, this is pretty pricey though. For an overclock on paper that really just kind of trades, it just matches the Founders Edition performance level. So there are stock MSI cards. MSI, what is it? The Shadow 2X. You can find. It's a little 2-fan card. It's like $610 on Amazon and Newegg right now. So $715 for an overclock that you barely notice.
Wow, that's so totally worth it.
Yeah. So I just don't understand the pricing on this. Why is it $105 more for a tiny OC? I guess you're paying for the shroud. But $715. That's the final verdict on this. Hard to swallow at that price. But
almost
a nice
as
card.
hard to swallow as an RTX 5060 review. Oh wait,
yeah, I didn't have to worry about that. Thankfully, I wasn't sampled.
I can't wait till you can test this against the sub $300 RTX or RX 9060.
That would be interesting because if you saw those charts,
Yeah.
the 9070 and the 9070 XT were way higher, often either number one or right.
So the 9060 XT might be in there.
It could be very exciting. This is an exciting time to.
AMD's availability has been a little bit better than NVIDIA's lately. So
I wouldn't say a little bit better.
I can buy.
I'd say
that
more
much.
better. More.
Well, hey, don't spoil picks of the week, which we're moving into right now. Josh, please get us started.
Okay, so speaking of availability, we just had this pop up. I mean, though I wouldn't recommend a gigabyte video card, you can get a 9070 XT for $730. That's the lowest price that I've seen since they introduced it, and they lasted, an hour or so at that whole $599 to $650, and then all the prices went up to almost $1,000, and you couldn't get them. No, they're finally. I mean, even the Sapphire Nitro Plus, you can get it now for $850, and previously that was they were charging upwards of $1,000 to $1,300, and then but now those are readily available. So yeah, AMD's finally starting to get more stuff into the channel, and they're getting those prices down, which is nice. And again, I wouldn't necessarily buy this model because I've had terrible luck with gigabyte video cards. I love their motherboards, hate the video cards.
But you should buy it.
Yeah, sure, why not? But if $730, that's not horrific for a 9070 XT.
Josh, I'm seeing that as more competitively priced against places like Micro Center, if anybody's ever heard of that place. It's very competitive. There's only one that's a little bit better, an ASRock RX 9070 XT Steel Legend for $699 at the local Micro Center.
Nice.
So that new
I would
number
rather get
is
an ASRock
very
than a
competitive.
Yeah.
Yes, you
there
would.
you go. The power colors are 800. At the AMD Tai Chi overclock from ASRock is 849. So the numbers just climb rapidly.
Yeah.
$900. So that number is pretty good, actually.
Not bad.
Hey, Jeremy, do you have a pick this week?
Unwillingly, yes, I do. And it's not exciting. In fact, you may buy it and throw it in a corner and not use it until you actually need it. Because external M.2 NVMe enclosures are stupidly cheap, or at least they can be. You can pay a stupid amount of money for them. You don't have to. Just grab one. The amount of times that it will come in handy will probably amaze you as you're, okay, I've got to pop this drive out and do something to it, or I just, need to copy something over to something obnoxiously large, and I've got a couple of NVMe drives kicking around, and I don't want to buy a brand new external SSD for backup. They're handy. If you don't have one, here's a good Canadian deal. It's, a little bit over $20 with tax, unless you buy one of the open packages, because it doesn't matter. They're not like the old SATA enclosures where there is a circuit board which likes to snap off constantly. They're actually much smaller, much less delicate, and just ridiculously useful to have. Just throw it in your bag, and the next time someone's panicking because their drive is dead, you can rescue stuff. The next time you want to back something up, you can do it. I think
we might have reviewed one almost identical to this.
Previous one?
Yeah, back in the day. The nice thing about Orico with these things is they were using this new Realtek chip, which is significantly lower power draw than the original one that I was testing. Speeds were fine. You're still, about a gigabyte per second. And yeah, they're inexpensive. They come with a little screwdriver. They're easy to install and use.
No, they're super easy. This one's USB 3.1, so 10 gigs, theoretically. And the other nice thing is that they're big, so they don't care what size drive you got. You got the little tiny laptop one? No problem. You got the extra large fat one? No problem. They're handy. They don't weigh anything. Grab one, throw them in your bag, and away you go.
Nice. Brett, your pick this week.
I went delightfully retro, and that's actually the phrase that I used in the text, because I was just moved by the FLP02 from Silverstone earlier being such a retro case. So I went with what would be an interesting, very almost analog retro play for pick of the week. And I went with the clipboard with calculator accessory. That all of your nitpicky folks in your organization might need. Now, this does have pencil storage and a couple of ancillary component areas where you can store things like paper clips and erasers and, other little tchotchkes that you might need. And this has the ever-present and handy calculator attached to it. And, of course, you've got your notepad within that you can do all kinds of work with. This is the perfect gift for the office mate who's always looking over your shoulder or needs to check off a lot of things. So
what if I don't want to pay $38.66, Brett?
Well, I would tell you to head on over to Woot, where we can pick this up at the discounted rate of $29.99 blowout.
Oh,
must have.
How are they clearancing these out?
I don't know. But, this has sort of a delightfully retro appeal that I couldn't resist.
It has I paid $1 for this at Goodwill kind of appeal.
It sort of does.
$30.
No, it's more modern than that. It's at least $10 at Goodwill.
Half of the reason I picked this is to get the mileage out of these comments that you're doing exactly right now.
Sebastian, you may be making fun of this right now, but it is completely secure from malware.
I don't know. Do you know what chip is in that calculator?
Exactly.
What if it's recording everything you say?
What happens if you type in
it's a tiny little man in an abacus.
I think it's the perfect gift for somebody. I don't know who, but someone watching this, or maybe in the future, is going to be completely inspired by this pick and go I need that thing.
And now it's perfect for throwing away. So
if you ever need to go and blend in somewhere and make sure that no one bugs you,
it's true.
There's plenty of millennials that will think that is the coolest thing ever.
Exactly. That is exactly my point, Kent. That is true.
And they'll be selling for $100 in a year.
No.
Yeah. Jeremy brings up another point. You can get into pretty much any secure facility carrying
Anywhere.
a ladder, by the way.
Or a notepad.
If you're carrying a ladder.
Scribbling down and looking upset.
This clipboard will open doors for you.
It
Can't even imagine.
Yeah. It gives inspector vibes. Like I'm here to inspect
it absolutely
your
does.
floor drains.
You just
If you're
need to make
wearing
sure
a
that you go in
high-vis-
with your very
vest with it.
You're wearing a high-vis vest and carrying this
high-vis
clipboard.
vest.
The guy who installed Sebastian's
helmet
copper
clipped to your
pipe is
belt.
carrying that same clipboard.
Exactly. He's like, how far can I shove this
Good
into
one.
the room? All right. Kent, you have a pick this week?
I do have a pick this week. It's unfortunately related to the review of mine that didn't make it up this week, but it'll be up next week. That review is about a pair of slightly under $25 IMs that are both quite good. You can read more about it there. But one of those is even more sub $25 now. It's actually the pair I'm wearing right now, the KB Ear Flash. These are a one balanced armature, one dynamic driver. So it's even a hybrid at that price. And they're quite good for $17.59. Even if you just need a cheap set of headphones and don't care if they sound good, you can't beat that price.
Oh, and no mic, which I actually respect.
Yeah.
Just
you can. So actually, that was
if
not
you cut
going
one
to
of
be
them
my
off,
pick.
you can use it as a microphone.
You can actually get that same pair with a cable that includes a USB-C adapter and it has a mic in line. That one is $13 somehow. But they only had one left, and that's why that one was not my pick of the week.
Nice. Hey, the stuff coming out of China is kind of ridiculous.
Inexpensive for you guys to buy.
It is. All right. My pick of the week. My pick of the week is a power generator because sometimes, you want to use electronics in your home, but Mother Nature has other plans, and no one around you has power. Even some of the network towers for your cell provider are down. What are you going to do? What if you still have a single strand fiber dangling up against the side of your house, somehow still connected, but you just need to power up the, what is that converter box called? Oh, and I can't remember what it's called. The optical network connection box.
Probably a transceiver. It's probably a transceiver.
That would be a transceiver.
The router that the modem is passed through, the ONT, thank you. And so you want to power all that stuff, plus the freezer in the basement so you don't lose all your food. I lost everything out of the fridge before I was finally able to get one of these, though I did not buy it. I was loaned one of these by my father-in-law in time to save the freezer, at least. But this is a Westinghouse super quiet and lightweight portable inverter generator. And they, of course, make some that aren't even a lot more expensive than this.
It's the peak version too.
It is.
So did they have a monogram?
They make some versions of this
Looks
that
like
are
Optimus
dual.
Prime's head.
If you look here, they make some versions of this that are dual. Like you can run them off of gasoline or propane. This is more like camping.
Yeah, that's
like
a better
RV
one.
focus. This little one though, it's got two outlets. This is a more up to date version. This one's 2200 running 2800 peak. The one I was using was like 1800 running 2200 peak, but it's more than enough to run like a refrigerator, TV, couple lights. However many extension cords you want to run into power strips and then into more extension cords all over your home because you're not properly wired to use some kind of standby generator. But it will save the food out of your refrigerator if you have it. And I have
allow you to upload videos.
$300 worth of food. And the last time the power went out, I lost another $300 worth of food approximately. So why not get one of these? And the second time the power goes out, it is literally paid for itself.
It also saves the peace within your family. It
does. My wife is not happy. She wakes me up at 2:30 or something. Hey, did you know the power's out? Like, yeah. It went out during the insane storm where the wind was howling and tree branches were falling everywhere at 11. She was asleep.
That's why we're asleep now.
She's like, well, I'm going out to get ice. It's like, nothing's open and nobody has any power. She left for a while. She comes back at about 3. Yeah, everything was closed.
Fine.
The gas station closed at 11. Like, yeah, I know. When the power went out, it was like 11:08. I'm like, damn, there's nothing open. We used to have 24-hour stores around. All of those
they can't run any transactions. They can't run any transactions.
Well, that too.
The power goes
but
out.
even if, say, everybody but us had power, you still can't buy anything.
If they had your
where
clipboard, they could do math.
You still can't buy anything where I live after 11 p.m. because everything is closed. I have a 24-hour donut place down the road that says 24 hours on the sign. They close at like 9 o'clock now. And they've just never gone back to their old hours. So it was just completely dark all the way down the street. All the businesses down the road were completely dark. And cell phone service was marginal. So it was just like, we just lost everything out of the fridge. She finally had to accept it. But then she got a hold of her dad, got the generator, and we saved the freezer. And that's what matters.
What sort of volatile food stuff do you store in your fridge that goes bad within like 10, 12 hours?
Anything over 4 hours, you can't really save it.
Okay.
There's this thing in America called food safety.
True.
I'll have you know that in my prior career, I had to be ServSafe certified every so many years. I had to take tests and go to this place because it was all about like temperatures and time.
I mean, if it's homemade hollandaise sauce that gets left out,
you take your stomach into your own hands. Anyway, that's been the PC Perspective podcast for this week, and we will see you again next week. We will actually look into your homes through your clipboard calculator's camera that's hidden under that fake solar panel and spy on you and your mesh shorts.
Yes, but not in a 23andMe
while you're
sort of
sweating
way.
to the oldies in the privacy of your own home, which is not actually
Jordan, we see what you're doing. Stop it.
Is Jordan watching right now? I'm not sure.
He definitely is
We're watching him.
That's for sure.
He's got a clipboard
and mesh shorts. All right, that is the podcast. Thank you and good night.
Good night, all.